Hi, I'm thinking this is going to be more of a irreverent video, irreverent, something like that. The idea is that it's not really a huge philosophical topic, nor is it something particularly political, but it's about TV shows. Now, I have a lot of opinions about TV shows and movies. I was once a movie reviewer at a different time in my life, and you'll notice I'm sweaty from the gym. But this was a very impromptu thought, so I thought I would just share it out now. And that is that old people shows are super slow, and I don't know how people remotely enjoy watching them. So the context for this is tonight I was sitting in my dad's kitchen and we decided to try to watch Severance. Now, Severance is a show that got lots of accolades. People I respect were saying how great it was and that you got to just trust the writers and they're going to get you there and it's going to be amazing. And of course, I'm pretty sure the show ended by now, but we tried to watch the first episode. It was so boring. It was like incalculably boring. Can't even talk, I'm so bored. It's just thinking about it. Like, just to get through the opening sequence, the first scene that really got me onto this. There we go. Anyway, just the opening sequence was the guy walking through a white hallway and then into like a different white hallway. So he'd like keep going through white hallways. This lasted like over a minute of him just walking through hallways. What the hell? I don't understand. Like, I guess this is getting passionate, but when people sit down to watch TV, are they trying to have their time wasted? What possible plot? What possible plot point is being made by him walking down 20 different hallways that look exactly the same? Please tell me. I have no idea. I don't get how you sit there. I'm not accusing you, dear viewer, of being the person who sits there and says this, but how do you sit there and be like, oh, this is good. This is entertaining. And okay, so, it's kind of an interesting idea overall. Like once you get into the episode itself, the idea is that people go through like a memory splitting procedure so that way when they go to work, they don't retain their memories. And it's supposed to be like a secret kind of work. Sorry, I got to adjust the camera. And so that's essentially the idea. And so they have like two different lives, like in and out of work. And so I gave this a chance. I thought, okay, it's an interesting premise. Maybe they're going to go somewhere with it. And I spent the next 30 minutes staring at the TV screen. Oh, this light is little. Maybe this will help. Okay, that's a lot better. Wow, I should have thought of that before. Anyway. I gave the show a chance. I gave it tens and tens of minutes of my time. And I started to lose my mind after two different scenes. One was a dinner party where it was just like kind of contrived dialogue to get them talking about not even the ethics and morality of the severance procedure, just the idea that there are ethics and moral considerations for it. Thank you. I had no idea. I watched it and I saw that something really unique was happening to these people. I was like, oh, there couldn't be any ethical considerations or moral considerations or consequential considerations. No, there must be none. Until this weird fat guy in a beard in the show told me that there were ethical considerations, I had never even thought of it. So that pushed me. That part pushed me. And then this is really where I really lost it, is that he was trying to go to sleep. And this was another thing like the hallway where he's rolling over in bed. And it's like, okay, 10 seconds of that. 20 seconds of that. 30 seconds of that. And it's like, and at that point, my dad had already been bored of it. And I just told him, okay, I tried. I really tried. I wanted to give it its chance. And I can't stand it. And sorry to talk too much about Severance, but I think it's emblematic of a lot of other old shows, even though it's a new show. is that a lot of people say they like Breaking Bad. I tried Breaking Bad. It's the same thing. Good morning, honey. How's your day? What are you doing today? Who the hell needs to hear that? What's the point? You're going to get to it. Like the classic story writing mantra of show, not tell. Like apparently every famous show has never heard of that. And I hear people raving about these amazing scenes in these shows, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos. Those are the two that come to mind at the moment. And you watch the scene, and it's like, and the way older people describe these scenes is like it was earth-shattering. It was the greatest finale that's ever happened. I'm talking about Breaking Bad. It was the greatest thing to ever be put to film. And you watch it and you're like, okay, cool. I mean, oh my God, he's, no way. There's a separation between knowledge and wisdom. And the guy who knew more about real life was making a comment showing that he knew more about real life before being shot in the head. Cool. I'm glad we're all worshiping this scene. Or No Country for Old Men, I think, kind of falls into this category, where it's like a little not, but sort of is, where it's just sort of dragging on with like these sort of half moralities, these half points that they just make. It's like the political just asking questions thing. You see, I'm not going to make an opinion on this. I'm not going to make a statement. I'm just asking questions. And then instead of people being like, okay, but what's the answer to the question? They're like, bravo! I can't really clap while holding the phone, but bravo! Oh my God! What an artist! He asked a question! Like, give me a break. And younger people, like the shows that younger people like, I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying even a tiny fragment of them are good. But there is a certain awareness that you're not supposed to waste your audience's time. Your audience's time. You're not supposed to waste their time. And you're supposed to hook them, as I've heard from every creative writing teacher in the history of the world. And every just paper writing. You gotta have a hook. You gotta have a hook in the introductory paragraph. The pilot episode is the introductory paragraph. I don't want to watch a guy walking down a hallway. It's not fun. It makes no sense. It adds nothing. And it also just sets a theme of nothing. Like, this is what... Oh, my window's open. Cool. This is how much you value your viewer's time. And when I tried Breaking Bad, I know I'm going back and forth here, but when I tried Breaking Bad, I thought, okay, there are some cool, interesting things happening here. I better like skip to the episodes that will be engaging, and maybe something, maybe I'll be engaged. Maybe I'll see the light, and it'll all make sense, and I'll really like the show. And you just see there are just so many episodes in between the episode that I watched first and the episode that I watched next. And they give you a recap before each episode, and it's like 5 45-minute episodes later, Walter went to the bank in 5 episodes. Like, I know I'm getting, as the elderly would say, excited about this, but I think there actually is an interesting point to be made here, other than the interesting... Oh dear. Oh my God. The lights are going off. And now the lights are... Nope. Now the light's back on. Okay, that was interesting. Anyway. My car is off in my driveway. Oh. So, I think the interesting point here is that a lot of older people, and even like Gen Xers, if I'm correctly identifying the generations, which I'm not even going to attempt. Let's just say the Ben Shapiro generation, the 40-year-olds. Like, they like this stuff. So it makes me wonder, like, how they grew up, like the shows they grew up with, and the entertainment they grew up with, like the standard. And I'm pretty sure that it was like 3 channels on TV. And that's what they watched, and that's what they were entertained by. So maybe there is, like, I want to see it from their perspective. And the way I would see their perspective is that that kind of hallway wasting time is not really wasting time for them, and that's a normal part of their attention span. Because, in the past, things took long. Like, besides the fact that the TV channels, there were 3 of them and they weren't always on, you had to wait. Like, cable is kind of obsolete now, but people before me, and even me to an extent, grew up with cable and grew up with its predecessors. You had to wait. You want to watch your show? Oh, well, you'll have to wait till Sunday night at 9. And then once that's over, you'll have to wait another week. And there's no other shows in between except for like Jeopardy. And nowadays, that is no longer the standard. It has been eviscerated. First by cable becoming like a lot more vast. Because even if the shows are weekly, not episodic, there's a word for that, and I'm losing the word, but not important. But even if the episodes are weekly, you have 5 other shows. You have something to watch every night. And if you don't have that, you have the news. And the news never goes off. No, none of the channels go off. You can always have something stimulating you in front of your face. And I don't think there is an easy judgment to be made about the pluses and minuses of it, but it's interesting to observe that it is the fact. And older people are they are built with monotony in mind. And when that guy was walking down the hallway, other than my dad, who is kind of impatient about this stuff, which I can understand, I was too, they expect that. And it's like that doesn't compute for them, and they're not like, oh my God, this is taking so long. The seconds are going by. Whereas that's very different for Gen Z, and I think even more Gen Alpha. Cursed be thy generational naming. They really shouldn't have started using whatever characters they're using for that. Alpha, Beta, poor generation Beta. I hope they skip that one. Anyway, we don't wait. When I'm on my computer, I'll admit this freely, or actually an even better example, when I upload this video will take multiple minutes to upload. It might even take like 20 minutes, depending on how long it is. And I will be so impatient about it. I will be looking at it and be like, oh my God, why can't you load faster? You're like 3 gigabytes. It doesn't make any sense. The computer should go faster. Or like when the internet goes down while you're watching a TV show. And let's just say I read a curse word dictionary and then recited it to my TV. That's happened many times. But it's just an expectation now that things are supposed to work at light speed. And again, I don't think this current video setting is the right one to make a true judgment about that. And I don't think a judgment would be easy to make, because there's so many pluses and minuses, and you have to involve like what human nature currently is and the purpose of life and all kinds of things you have to involve. So it's really hard to get anywhere on that front. But it's nevertheless true that boomers, for lack of a better word, can watch something boring and not be bored. Just like I have to imagine when they were kids, they could entertain themselves and not be bored. Which does bring up another point offhand, that there's a discourse these days about boredom and how kids should learn to entertain themselves, and you shouldn't always be stimulated, and that's bad for you. And oh my God, more light is coming on. I don't understand this car. Anyway, a lot of anyways this video, but let me think about this for a second. I kind of lost my train of thought with all the lighting, but dang it, I'm totally forgetting. I got to do like a little mental reset. I'm going to pause it for like 10 seconds. Okay, that 10 seconds didn't help at all. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I'll try to like just yap and we'll get there. Is that? Oh, okay. So the discourse on boredom. Now I'm back. I'm glad that took that 10-second weird pause there for that. This is a bit of a hard point to wrap my head around at 12:01 in the morning. But it's dark out. It's nighttime. But the boom. It's not just that they're okay being bored. Well, it's not just that they need less stimulation to be stimulated. It's that they're just okay being bored. They're okay being unstimulated, or at least have found a way to block it out so that way they're not like traumatized by it. Whereas I think the young are actually traumatized by it. And again, there's a lot of discourse that you can go into about why and how, but clearly, as my pause indicated, I'm not really going to get anywhere with that tonight. So I would just like to conclude with the weird animal in the dark. I would just like to conclude with perhaps my continued opinion that despite my openness to the possibility that that older people's tastes are equal but different. Sure, let's say that. Different but equal. That their tastes are just as good as mine, and but they're different, and they're just kind of different in a way that I can't wrap my head around, and the young can't wrap their head around. But I maintain that on a level of storytelling, every scene, everything that's happening should at least partially go towards the story. Everything that's going on in your life, maybe this is actually part of it, is that and I'll of course make a longer video about this sometime, but the young aren't in a survival-based life anymore. They're in a narrative-based life, so to speak. There needs to be a point. There needs to be a point beyond survival. And because of that, everything they do needs to have a point. Sitting and watching a little screen go like that, loading, or a printer doing anything a printer would ever do, or a guy walking down a hallway in a TV show that I tried, there's sort of a categorical error, and it makes it really, really difficult to enjoy any of that. And yeah, I don't have a solid conclusion on all this. I just think maybe the new way is the right way. Or I guess it's the inescapably right way, because whether or not we like it, survival is no longer the top priority of life. And therefore, the things you do need to have a purpose in and of themselves, and therefore the things you watch need to have a purpose in and of themselves, undermining the idea that boredom is like okay and something that we should just like get used to. Like I don't think you should get used to doing nothing, doing unproductive things that make you bored. Like that's not good for you. That's not good for the purpose of life. It may be good for survival, but since survival is no longer the top priority, which again, I will talk more about in some future video, that the young stories are better because they don't waste your time and they actually get you where you're trying to go without taking a detour through like all of Brooklyn just to get one stopover in Manhattan. I don't ride the New York City subway, but yeah, I think that, yeah, that does it. That does it, and I don't want to make this video drag out any longer because I'm sure I unfortunately did bore you guys just a little bit with my ramblings as I was trying to catch my breath and catch my mind back up. But anyway, yeah, like new shows. There are good shows. Don't watch the old shows. And this might even apply to old movies, but I haven't watched none of them. Enough of them. Okay, I'm tired. This isn't working anymore. See you next time. Oh, please like, subscribe, and if you disagree with me, feel free to leave an extremely hateful comment. I will then leave a, well, I'll either reply in a very nice, curious way or an equally hateful way. If you leave a comment, you'll find out. See you next time. There's a third wave and a fourth.